The second concept is this idea I have of centeredness. And I feel it all the time. I was feeling it earlier today. It's can be extended to social interactions, to personal decision making, to relationships, to business dealings, so many things where essentially we can find ourselves like in homeostasis or in a centered position. And then I'll give you the instance I was thinking of today. I reached out to a friend a week ago and said, hey, I have a pretty urgent thing to talk to you about. Could we find some time to talk about this? And they're like, yeah, by all means, we can do it tomorrow. And then the next day came, and they, an hour before our scheduled meeting, were like, oh, actually, I have to postpone. I can't do it. Can we reschedule another time? And I was like, oh, damn, okay, because this is pretty urgent. But yeah, I guess we can reschedule. And so in that moment, I felt myself shift a little bit out of center because I was like, oh, okay, I have to be flexible. The world's asking something of me, and I'm not going to get the thing that I'm hoping for or that feels right or helpful. So I need to adjust and move to to react to the changing environment. And unfortunately, this friend at that point stopped responding. And so for a week, they left me on red and not ghosted me, but even though there was this, and I was very clear about what the urgency was, and I described in detail, like not at length, but I said quite clearly, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is why it's important. And for reasons unknown, and I don't know what they are, that person deigned to take time away and to not offer a time to speak. And during that time, it kept nagging at me because I'm like, shit, this needs to be dealt with. And I'm like, oh, what a jerk. They're not like prioritizing this, even though they said they would. And then I have all these narratives, all these relationships to the events, all these biases, all these hopes, all these desires that I hold. And each time I noticed that it felt like there was these, I don't know, like monkeys on my back or something that were like pulling me further and further away. And that might be a little bit abstract, but I think more concretely, what I noticed was that anytime I had cause to be reminded of this, I felt a very sudden constriction, often in my stomach and my heart. And I felt like hunched over and like leaning away, or like these different movements that like were not sitting upright and like centered and like with a easeful strength. There was a physical like being pulled off axis. And for, I think the first time I really consciously observed this phenomenon, I was doing yoga. And I realized that when I tried to extend myself to make a yoga pose, I could do it and I'd be straining and oh yeah, I'm doing it. Can everyone see? I'm doing it. And then I'd come back and I'd be like, ow, that fucking hurt. Why was I doing that? And it was an entirely different thing when I started doing this practice called Ashtanga. And I had a teacher, a beautiful teacher, who came to me and like one day said, what are you doing? Don't do that. Just focus on doing the smallest version of the thing that you want to do while breathing. And if you can't do it while breathing in a centered place, then you probably aren't doing it right. And so I realized that when I went out of center and I was stretching and trying to accommodate and trying to be flexible and not checking in with my own, like, how does this feel? Is this nourishing? Is this sustainable? That it was going to hurt. I was going to get injured. And also I wasn't going to have the power if I wanted to like actually do something in that pose. I was strained just to get there. And so tying it back to this concept of, thanks for your patience. That was quite a long explanation, but tying it back to this all too familiar sense of overwhelm and of, shit, this is really scary and I don't know what to do. I try to identify, is there a real threat? okay, there is a threat, but say it's like I've done a bunch of mushrooms, I've done 6 grams of mushrooms, and I feel like I'm going to die and the reality is ending. Okay, well, that may be true, but that's not as true as somebody holding a gun pointed at me. So I actually don't know yet if I need to run to cover. Okay, so what do I need to do? So fork in the road. Don't need to do the cover thing. So instead, how am I in center? Physically, like actually in my body. Oh no, I'm like really tensed up and I'm not breathing. Okay. Well, what if I realign my physical machinery? Oh, I'm still uncomfortable. I don't feel like I'm imminently going to cease existing or cease like experiencing. Okay, back to center. At that point, it just becomes noticing all the different ways that I'm leaning out or pulling away and being like, oh, I see that. Gently trying to corral them into a place of connection and um, strong relaxation, relaxed strength.
Hey, welcome to Today Dreamer, a podcast and YouTube channel where we explore the interplay between inner and outer work, and we look at what cultivating the practice of presence within our lives feels and looks like once we clear the mind and open the heart. So this is just a short clip from a full podcast episode, which I'll leave a link to around here somewhere. And if you'd like to check out the whole catalogue of episodes along with guided meditations and what I have on offer, please head over to todaydreamer.com and have a peek. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and click the little notification bell so you don't miss any of the good stuff to come.